development.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Issues at Hand here at WBS TV. Your host, Peter Chibazo. Hoping you've had a nice week since the last time we met. I know that in the media fraternity, it started out on a wrong note. Dr. Sarah Namulondo at The Observer went to be with her maker, a sad one, a very young one, but she's lived her life, and we commiserate with the family. With me in the studio this evening, I have two ladies that need very little introduction, if any at all. On my immediate left is Betty Olive Kamia. Betty, the president of Uganda Federal Alliance. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you, Peter, for inviting me, and good evening.
Been a while.
Watchers, they're called what?
Viewers. And Honorable Miriam Matembe. Welcome, Honorable Miriam Matembe.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
I had you on radio this evening, Honorable Miriam Matembe, in various news excerpts, breathing brimstone and fire about the marriage and the divorce bill, or is it the reverse, the divorce and marriage bill? And I was thinking, okay, this document has been here with us for this long. I was watching Honorable Kello, and he says, for as long as I remember, it always comes in every term of parliament, and it raises a bit of tempo, and people manage to smuggle another bill right under it, and it goes back into the bankers, and it waits for the next time. Honorable Matembe, you've been a minister of ethics and integrity. You are a woman activist, as it were, through the period. Someone says you are one of the women that have benefited actually out of the women movement that has been pushing up the best of there was to the table. And yes, we have a marriage and divorce bill that the church has said go slow on it. They're saying, wait a minute, take your time, go slow on this. Various people have looked at it in specific aspects. I'll tell you. My wife the other day was saying, is everything about this bill only about property and property and property? That is all I'm hearing. And I said, well, that's what the agenda setters have set. Honorable Miriam Matembe, the marriage and divorce bill on the floor of Parliament. Is it a wave that is going to pass? Is it a matter of life and death that we must pass? Or is it an affront at the religious institution and the marriage institution?
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me, because I had of late kept a low profile because I'm just tired and fed up of so many nonsensical things in this country, where it appears as if people have lost sense of humanity, or of understanding things really which make human life. Now, I have listened to these people who have been arguing. First of all, we begin with the president, because you talked about religious leaders saying go slow. I saw the president saying, I don't like this running around. And that is a permanent statement that he makes whenever this bill comes. And I have listened to the religious leaders saying that they have not been consulted. And I'm so embarrassed by the level of dishonesty and deceit among our leaders, both political and religious. Because I want to tell you, there's nothing speedy about this law. First of all, I want to say that marriage is an institution. Moreover, the best institution of society. And by the way, the only institution that was created by God. The other institutions we create ourselves. But the marriage institution was created by God himself, when he gave Adam, Eve, and said, now go and multiply. And now our constitution says that marriage, family is the basic unit of society which should be entitled to protection by the state. It says that very clearly. And to me, like any other institution, the marriage institution should be having a law that governs it and guides it. And the state is duty bound to make a law for protection of its people. Now, armed with this kind of thinking, I believe, the government of Obote, immediately after independence, in 1963, established the Karema Commission and charged it with the responsibility of coming out, consulting the people, and coming out with a marriage law. Up to this day, the Karema report has never seen the light of the day. That is now long ago. But then when President Museveni came to power, he himself established the Law Reform Commission, chaired by Mr. Kakoza. He's now an old man, but he chaired that commission, and the first law that that commission tackled was the family law. And the commission went around the whole country consulting people and came out with a report on the basis of which the bill entitled the Law of Domestic Relations was prepared. And in fact, the Kakoza Commission said the law concerning family is distributed in many different laws, and it is confusing. There was the Marriage Act, the Marriage of African Act, the marriage of
the Mohammedan,
the marriage of
the
whatever,
Hindu.
the customary marriage, all these things. They said, you know, it is more convenient to put them in one law and call it, you know, the Law of Domestic Relations, so that you look at it to if you want to see anything to do with the family. And this bill came to Parliament. I remember the bill came before the 7th Parliament. People rose up in arms. In fact, when it first came before, was it the 6th Parliament? I remember when it came out, the Muslims mobilized themselves and they went at Sheraton. I remember very well. The whole hotel Sheraton was full up, and President Museveni was in Wachitura, and he rang Katureba and said, I understand you are destabilizing my people. That law should wait. That is 6th Parliament. The law waited. Then eventually 7th Parliament, we came with this law. And they said no.
It fits into the picture of Honorable Okello Okello.
Yeah,
it comes
Okello is speaking the truth. Now I'm explaining the details because I was a participant there. Now, this time they said, let us leave the Muslims out because you can't mix the two. The Muslims said, for us, we are governed by our Quran. And we thought it was an uphill task now to combine with the Muslim. We said, okay, the Muslims bill can come on its own. Let us tackle this one. And they said, now change it from domestic relations and call it marriage and divorce. So we went again. I remember Hope Mwesi, we had consulted, and third reading on the 7th Parliament. Hope Mwesije, by then he was the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs. She stood up and said, there are other urgent businesses, leave this law. That's how it ended there. It went. Now, by the time of the 8th Parliament, the bill came. Now they said, this marriage, family, don't call it domestic relations. Now call it marriage and divorce. You hear? Now they change it. They call it marriage and divorce, and consultations go on. I remember personally, I was not a member of Parliament, but I went for hearing of the legal committee, and the religious leaders were there, and we talked, and Honorable Sekande said, this time, this law will pass. And I went into the gallery, because he promised us the next day, they will read it there. I went into the gallery. The next day, we waited for the reading of this law for the 3rd time. It never saw the light of the day. The Parliament ended. Now, this is the 9th Parliament. And for sure, for President Museveni to say, I don't like people who run around without being sure of what they are doing, you know, underrating us, minimizing us. We people who have conducted consultation, who have carried down on surveys, who have done all that research,
let me ask you
and saying that it is in a hurry. 50 years of independence, half century.
why
You keep
over the
saying
years?
there is a
Why over the years hasn't it actually been actualized? Because when you narrate the whole of this, it has transcended regimes. It goes through the Obote, it comes through the next regimes, it comes through several parliaments, but it is never actualized. Why?
because of what they call patriarchy. Because the male folk give lip service to the whole issue of gender equality and women's empowerment. Men,
Have you sold it right?
Men regard women as their property. If you are part of the property, do they see you sharing property? No wonder the whole bill has been turned into sharing property. Do you see the problem? Do you see the problem? So for me, what I see is that not many people are interested in the well-being and protection of women and children. And this is patriarchy, this is chauvinism, it is all entrenched in patriarchy as you know it.
Betty, today listening to Bishop Semogere from Luero on radio in a news story when he was saying mass today on the consecration of the Pope, he clearly says that this bill and the inclusion of cohabitation in this and the flagging of the notion of divorce in the bill is actually a vulgarization of the family in itself. Do you differ?
I think, first of all, thank you, Peter, for inviting me. And I've not been here for a long time, so I will take the liberty of extending my congratulations to His Excellency Sir Gordon Wavamuno for the long list of achievements, the latest of which was the
knighting
of Sir Gordon Wavamuno. And that goes to his family and to all the people that feel proud of associating with him. The marriage, this bill, in my opinion, still needs, if something is not, I mean, when they brought the maternal health bill in Parliament, there was no debate about it. There was consensus, absolute 100% consensus from all shades of representation in Parliament, men, women, Catholics, Protestants, and everybody. Nobody said there's a problem with that. And there are many bills that they bring, and there is consensus on them. There's no, they cut across even political
divide,
political divide, and everybody gives them their support. Now, this bill is very interesting because even the women are not agreed. I wouldn't mind if it was men versus women. It would be clear, like my sister says. It's a male thing, chauvinism, blah, 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 blah. But when the women are also very passionate about their positions, then it makes it a very interesting and unusual bill, which we need to look at, I think, with a lot of, it's a delicate bill for me in many ways. But Miriam talked about, it's necessary to have a law. And we all have laws, even if they're not written, in our different communities, cultures. We have unwritten laws on marriage, up to even in religion, up to even sharing if you disagree, or whether you should even disagree at all, and whether you should separate at all. So many communities, cultures, religion, faiths, and others have actually unwritten laws on marriage.